Hey, everybody, John Granato from the bench. Mornings on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5, and that's AJ Hoffman from the Blitz. He's on afternoons on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Press the button that says subscribe right now so that you can get all of our content. All right, AJ, let's talk a little Astros baseball, the only good team that we can talk about, right? Now, last year wasn't so great. They won 29 regular season games only because they played 60, but they had a losing record heading into the postseason. They did great in the postseason, but still, guys who really struggle. Oh, they had down years because of production or injury last year. Jose Altuve, Alex Bregman, Yordan Alvarez, and Yuli. Okay, so of the four, who's going to have the biggest bounce back?
I think it's Alex Bregman. I think that's a guy who was playing at an MVP caliber before the cheating scandal hit. He's still young in the prime of his career. There's really not much excuse for why he didn't play well, other than there was a lot of added pressure on him because now he was a bad guy, although you would have thought that Alex Bregman would have thrived in the role of bad guy. He just didn't. I think after a full offseason to kind of clear his head, I think Alex Bregman returns to being I don't know if he'll return to that MVP contender form, but I think he returns to being a really solid piece in this lineup and probably the best player on this team.
I'm going to go Altuve, the revelation that he had deaths in the family, along with how hard he took the scandal, his mental state. He bounced back in the postseason, which Bregman did not. He seems to be rejuvenated. He's going to catch it this year because of there are going to be fans in the stands, so there is going to be some repercussion. It won't be nearly as there won't be nearly as much vitriol as there would have been last year. I think time has probably kept some people from being as ugly as they would have been. But I think Jose Altuve looks like a different guy this spring. It's been said already. And I expect him to get back to not only MVP, near MVP, but the MVP, hopefully the MVP form, which he was an MVP. Yordan, I think, is hard in this category because he's certainly going to have a bigger year, but he didn't have any year. So will Yordan have a big year? That's an interesting question because he's coming off injury, and whether or not he's going to trust those knees. With both of them being down last year, I think that's a really big question for this team.
Yeah, that's a lot to come back from. I worry a little bit about Yordan. I mean, obviously he's a younger guy, but both knees in one offseason, you've got to basically relearn to walk. That's a lot. Not only walk, but run, swing, jump, all the things you've got to do as a ball player. So I have some concerns for him. I don't think he's going to be a disaster. I just worry that the expectation, the bar that he set in his rookie year, it might be tough to get to that this season. It might be tough to get to that ever. I mean, Yordan wasn't the number one prospect in all of baseball who everyone expected to do this. So there could very well be some regression. That said, there could be some regression and he could still be a great player, but expecting him to do what he did his rookie year coming off those type of injuries, I think that's a lot to ask.
Yeah, and then Yuli, I have the least expectations for him because of how old he is. You know, he's Cuban. He could be 52
Yuli's
years
230 years old.
He might
he's
be.
An oracle.
No one knows.
In his village, he's called the Oracle. They come to him for knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, so but he's a professional hitter. And hopefully, maybe a lot of that stuff was mental with him as well. And, over a longer season, he is going to hit a lot better because we certainly know that he can. But I have the least expectations for him. Which one do you think, you picked Bregman for the biggest bounce back year. Which one do you think is the most important for the team to bounce back?
Ooh, it's between Bregman and Altuve. I mean, those were the two guys that during that championship run, those were the leaders of the team, along with Springer, who's no longer here. I don't know if one of those guys is more important than the other. When Bregman's on, he gives your team a bit of a swagger that they don't otherwise have. And obviously, Altuve is just such a beloved guy that he can. I think his teammates just love and respect that guy, and he's probably the greatest Astro in the history of their franchise, honestly. So I think either one of those guys could be the most important. If I had to lean, I guess I'd say Bregman. Because I guess I feel like Altuve, even a down year for Altuve is not necessarily a bad year. It's like you go from hitting 330 and all of a sudden, oh, well, I hit 280. I really suck now. But I think that Bregman getting the power going, which this team is going to miss without George Springer. It missed last year without Yordan Alvarez. I think they need a power bat in that lineup. I think Alex Bregman's the most likely to bring that to the table.
I'm gonna go Yordan. I'm gonna go. He's the most important because even with average years, with let's see if Miles Straw is on base, even if he's the leadoff hitter. With Bregman will get on base some. Altuve will get on some. Brantley will be ahead of him. So Yordan has got to be the guy that knocks them all in. And if Yordan is having a big year, they can be okay, but they'll still score runs because Yordan is going to be knocking them in. Plus, he'll be, if maybe even Correa might be in front of him, depending on what kind of year that he is having. Or even if Correa is behind him, Yordan being on base for Correa will be kind of a big deal too. So I'm going to go. They didn't have him at all last year. And they only won 20. He was a big loss in that lineup. So if he comes up big again, I think that Yordan is probably the most important to have a big, impactful year because those other guys, I don't feel like they have to have huge years for the Astros to be good.